So sometimes if the screen's minimized, you don't see the little recording light. You don't even know when to start. It's crazy talk here at Business Growth Time. Super excited about today's episode. Don't mind the slow start. It's going to pick up and move fast from here. We've got a wonderful guest, Mr. John Bullard. We're going to talk all things trade show, how you can leverage them to grow your business. But before we introduce John, allow me to introduce my co-host, my partner, my high school pal, the lovely, the talented, the Facebook marketing expert, Janet E. Johnson, where today the E is going to stand for exerciser.
I knew it.
Connie.
Knew it.
Come on, I can't not do that.
That's
Connie,
great.
hey, man, when Ernie offers suggestions on what the stands for, you go with it.
All right, we need to tell the backstory on this. So for 9 years, I was a water aerobics instructor, and I just shared a video this morning or last night about a new water aerobics. They showed an exercise video of water aerobics with a pole. Okay, so people are like swinging on a pole in the water, and that's a new water aerobics thing. And I said, I've taught this before, but yeah, a pole's a whole new idea, I guess, concept. Anyway, and so somebody commented, Terry goes, well, I'm glad we have something to talk about on the show now. And here he ended up, somebody suggested exercise, and there's the E for today. Yes, and I do love my exercise and my water aerobics, but no, I do not have a pole.
I'm going to leave that one alone because you just keep that up and then knock it into next week. So we try and keep it PG around here, John. We don't always succeed, but sometimes we do. So, Mr. John Bullard, it's kind of fun, right? This is like that home and home podcast thing. I was a guest on John's show a couple of weeks ago, and we had a great time talking about business networking. And we're going to flip the switch and come over and talk a little bit about similar things at trade shows on our little show. So welcome aboard.
Yeah, welcome, John.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Do we have a bio on John, Janet, so we can properly introduce him? Lovely.
You can have it in front of me. You know me and organization. So.
Thank God one of us is prepared. Let's see if we can guess who.
All right. So John actually has 30 years of experience buying and selling with trade shows. He's an author, public speaker, entrepreneur with many successful businesses under his belt. He was blessed to overcome medical issues over the past 4 years that allowed him to the blessing of continuing to do the work of helping with others. He says, life is short, so push forward and live your dreams. Totally agree with that. He started his webinar show, ProSellerTalk.com, to help other small business owners and entrepreneurs grow successfully with the most recent strategies, tools, and tips. He has a close-knit family, beautiful wife, Esther, married 35 years, and 2 wonderful sons. His oldest is a successful entrepreneur, and the youngest works in their fulfillment center. And that has another link. I'm going to give it, myfulfillmentteam.com, alongside his wife who runs the business. He does have 2 awesome grandchildren who are wise beyond their years and keep him young. So once again, welcome, John. Looking forward to talking about trade shows. You have a lot of experience there.
Thanks for that intro. That was awesome.
Well, it's good that sometimes we do the proper intros and sometimes we let Terry, but
yeah, sometimes Terry makes up shit on the spot. That's true.
Exactly. Well, awesome, John. All right, so let's talk about trade shows and how to utilize trade shows. I just want to let you get started on what you think is best to get started on with that.
Well, I think first off, when you're talking trade shows, there's 2 ways to approach that. There's the people that say, well, I just don't have the financing to be able to go to trade shows, and then we have an answer for them too. But first, we're going to go the other route, and if you're able to go to a trade show, there are big trade shows out there like A.S.D, the Javits Center, but the problem is, and I don't know if we have new people that are, if you're just listening to this and you're new and you've never sold online or never been to a trade show before, it can be overwhelming. So I would recommend that you don't go to a trade show like A.S.D or the Javits first. You go to like the Louisville Gift Show or the St. Louis Gift Show or the Dallas Market or TMC in Chicago, those type of things. And you look at those first because, first of all, when you go into those type of things, you're going to feel more comfortable. They're more intimate. They're smaller. A lot of them have, like in Chicago, I know they have the actual booths where it's like rooms. You go in and it's personal. It's actually like you're sitting in somebody's office and you're actually looking at products. So that may be something that's good for you versus going into a bigger trade show and having thousands of people pushing you around, vendors jumping on you when you walk down the aisles. It's just, it can be very, very overwhelming and intimidating. And if you're claustrophobic, it's not the experience you want the first time. Because you will be shoulder to shoulder with people, and it can be very uncomfortable for somebody new. We'll get into more of that in a minute. But first, going to the smaller trade shows, like I said, how do you find them? That's a question I'm asked all the time.
Sure.
I want to go to a trade show, but how do I find them? And I don't know which ones to go to. Mm-hmm. Well, the answer to that is, what's your passion? What's your passion? What do you love doing or want to do that you haven't been able to do as of yet in your lifetime? Ask yourself those questions first, because I believe that if you find something just because it sells, you won't stay with it if you don't love it. You've got to love what you're doing.
Great point.
And if you don't love what you're selling, you're not going to want to do it. So find that passion. It could be sports. It could be aerobics, like, water, whatever we talked about, the water.
Janet could be selling poles for water aerobics.
It could be, we could be getting back to the poles. You could be selling different size poles and whatever.
Well, I was kind of wondering, where do you get the poles for these swimming pools?
I mean,
there's a trade show for it.
It could be whatever you feel. It could be, dealing with, pets. It could be gift items. It could be, maybe you like creating, happy bundles to bring joy to people's lives for maybe birthdays or for different holidays and things like that, anniversaries. Maybe it's things like that. You got to find that first thing. And one way to find it is to go, and you can Google anywhere. You can go on Google and just say U.S. trade shows 2018 or just trade shows in the U.S. And you're going to get, last I checked, and this is because you can't go to them all. So as far as the competition thing, I don't want you to look at that right now, because you're going to say, yeah, there's competition, they're all going. Well, they're not, because nobody can be at 10,000 plus trade shows in the U.S. I don't care if they fly once a day to every state. It's not going to happen.
10,000 trade shows in the U.S. per year?
There's over 10,000 trade shows. But that's every kind of show imaginable. And we talked about this, Janet, before we came on the air, where it could be where they're selling big tractors, selling houses, selling cars, selling pet products, selling in all different categories you can think of, selling, supplies to hospitals. I mean, it could be anything, for pharmacy type stuff. It could be anything. There's all trade shows of all different things. So you really got to take a look and say, what do I want to be doing? What is something that I want to do that I have not been able to do? And then I'm going to tell you that you can do it and show you how you can do it. And we'll get into that in a little bit later, but you first got to write down that why. And Janet, we talked about this before we came on the air too, before Terry joined us. You have to have a why. If you don't have a why, you're not going to do it. For me, they talked about it a little bit in my bio. My why is I get the luxury now. I didn't in the beginning, but I get the luxury now. If my granddaughter or my grandson has a baseball game or a recital on a Tuesday at 11 o'clock in the afternoon, I don't have to ask my boss to leave. I can just go and enjoy those moments. Folks, we all have 24 hours a day. I don't care if it's the people in Hollywood that make all the money, or the movie actors, or whoever's making the money. It doesn't matter who makes the money. We all have 24 hours a day. It's what we do have is we have the choice in what we want to do with those 24 hours. Do you want to change your situation? And if you do, then listen to this podcast, because I'm going to show you ways that you can actually change that situation if you want to. And I'm going to show you where you can do it, where you can say, well, John, you know what? I work a full-time job. My wife works a full-time job. We just don't have the time to do it. I'm going to show you that's nonsense. You can do it working full-time jobs. You can do it if you have one person in the household. You can do it if you're a stay-at-home mom and have 8 kids. I know people that are doing this with 3rd grade educations, 8 kids in a home. I know people that are doing this that been homeless on the streets and are now successful. So there's not a story out there or an excuse out there that you can tell me why you can't do it. I know you can do it. But the one thing that I can't determine is if you want to do it. You have to have that why. What is your why? What is burning inside you, and why do you want to do it? Now, back to once we have that, then you have to pick something. You have to say, okay, this is my passion. Maybe you want to do crafts. Crafts is big. Go on Amazon.
I want to go back to what you were talking about because I Googled trade shows aerobics just for the fun of it.
Mm-hmm.
And like there's beauty fitness fair. There's a trade show, USA Gymnastics. There's one that actually is all about tiles, flooring tiles for aerobics, Pilates, yoga, retail. You know what I mean?
These are each different shows?
What?
These are all different shows?
Different trade shows. Yeah, just Googling aerobics trade shows. Yeah. So that kind of narrows it down from what you were talking about. If you pick your niche, is that kind of how you should be finding your...
Yeah, you want to be doing that, but you also, now here's the other thing. You don't just say, hey, I want to do aerobic poles and I want to sell different size poles. You want to do your research too, and you want to get on, like those research sites, and you want to put in keywords, use keyword tools, and find out, hey, aerobic pole, blue aerobic 40-inch poles. Is anybody looking for that? So you need to have data. The data is what
that's a good point. Mm-hmm.
You just can't say, hey, I heard Janet talk about poles. I think that, we could get some 40-inch poles and they would work great. Well, that might work good for you, but who else is out there, and is it going to work for the majority of people? Yeah. And you folks, you don't need a big audience to sell these to. You really don't. You need a targeted audience. That's the key word, targeted. People that are looking for those items. Do your keyword research. Use Jungle Scout and tools like that and do keyword research. And when you do that, you're going to see things come up. I guarantee if you go through Jungle Scout and you put in, aerobic poles, you're going to see terms that people search for that are not saying aerobic poles.
Okay.
You may find out that they found aerobic poles by yoga mats. They could have put yoga mats in, and in that search, somehow they found the pole. It's not always the term that you think it's going to be exact. I mean, there's different ways of finding it, and that's what you're going to find.
So backing this up, so kind of going step by step. So if somebody was new, wanted to start doing that, they want to think, okay, what do I love? What's my niche? Let's just keep using the aerobics thing. Love aerobics, love exercising, and that's what I want to be talking about and selling. So then you should do some research before you get going on it to see what's popular out there in that niche. Is that
right?
Correct?
You definitely want to do, even before the trade show, you want to do research. You definitely have to do your research, because this podcast could probably be a 4-piece segment, because there's so much information and different things that they need to know.
So while we're on research, let's talk about what are they researching? The market, the products, who's looking to buy them. What else?
That's a great question. You're researching the market first and foremost, because you might say, hey, I think I want to sell aerobic poles. You're going to look on Amazon. Is it on Amazon? Why Amazon? Amazon is the biggest market out there. If it's not on Amazon, then it's probably not going to sell somewhere else as well, because it doesn't have the eyes there. Now, that doesn't mean that you can bring it to market, but that's a whole nother segment. If you're going to bring something to market, again, you bring it to market based on data. Not because Amazon doesn't have it. It still has to be based on data. Data is key to everything. If you don't have that data, and if you go and you search 40-inch aerobic pole, and now you see that, oh, no one's searching for it, you better move on to something else. You don't say, okay, well, I'm going to be the first one. No, the data says it's not something you should be doing. And that's what most people make the mistake. They go on Amazon and they'll look at a product on Amazon and say, hey, I should private label that. Well, what's the data say? Does the data say that there's a market for that? What kind of data are you getting? And if the data backs up the fact that there is a market for it, then and only then you go in and you test. You always test. You don't say, wow, I see this. Wow, there's 300,000 people looking at this. I see and there's only 3 sellers, and it looks like it's a good thing. Well, yeah, it might be. But you don't know what's going with it, and you don't know all the data. So you got to test. Testing allows you to get more data. It allows you to see the market, and it allows you to not jump in with both feet. And that's what a lot of people do. They say, wow, this looks like a winner. Let me buy a container. No, don't buy a container. Maybe if they let you, buy a sample case. Maybe if they let you buy 1 or 2 pieces. I mean, a lot of the wholesalers and vendors out there now have become relaxed in the last, I would say, 5 years.
Okay.
5-6 years ago, you had minimums of 5,000, 10,000 you had to purchase with these people. Now you can purchase. It's funny when I call up and I still talk to wholesalers, it blows my mind when I say, what's your minimum? Oh, you can buy a case. Well, how much is a case? Oh, about $20. Really? But I don't want that. I stay away, folks. I stay away from a company that tells me I can buy a case. Why would I stay away from somebody that tells me I can buy a case? The simple reason is if I can buy it, 10,000 other people can buy it.
Oh, got
and
it.
that creates tremendous competition. Unless you're doing something creative with it, you're creating tremendous competition. So it does take a little money to get into it when you want to get into the wholesale end of the business. However, you got to think of this as a business and not a hobby. And as a business, you have to think, I may have to invest $1,000, but if the point of entry is harder to get to, not everyone's going to do it. If the point of entry is easy to get to, everybody that has $20 can throw away. We all go to a movie and spend $20 nowadays for just 2 people. So everybody can do it. So if everybody can do it and they're not all educated how to sell it, what's going to happen? Competition. Competition does what? Competition does 2 things. Competition drives down the price because especially if you don't have educated enough sellers knowing that the market will stabilize and there's a demand for this product. You could get a seller that's new that after 7 days says, man, I can't hold this product. I got to sell it. So what do? They take and they start marking it down. What does that do on Amazon? It kicks off the repricers. Now all these repricers kick in and it goes down 10 cents, goes down $1. But they just fight and battle until it's down to where nobody makes money. So nobody wins.
Plus the Amazon fees and all that. So yeah, exactly.
But the repricers are what kill you.
Okay. Got it.
So make sure you do the research. Make sure you have the data that backs up what you're looking to do. Now,
I want to echo a point that you said because I really think this is important. If you're doing that research and you see that something doesn't exist, that is not an aha moment. That is not a time to be super excited. That is a time to run. If nobody else is doing it, it's because nobody else wants it. And we do this all the time with app development and software development. I'm not saying you need to be a me too and try and figure out how to, take shares of other people's market. But the reality is it is a lot easier and a lot better business model for you to take a chunk of a market that already exists than to be the market maker. Unless you've got a ton of dough to put into something and advertise and market and get on Shark Tank and have everybody see it, you're going to have a real hard time growing if there's not already a market.
Yeah, and another way, and I'll add to that, because the wave of the future is, I think, is going to be the opposite. I think you're going to see more sellers try to bring things to market versus trying to create things, add things to things that are already in the existing market. What I mean by that is, like you said, it's going to take capital, and the big guys are the ones that are going to be doing it. They're going to be bringing the product to the market. They're going to do the sponsored ads. But what people don't realize is a lot of people will do a lot of Facebook ads, and I know Janet talks about Facebook ads, but a lot of people don't talk about what we call the gatekeepers. You can have a product and you think, yeah, my product needs to be sold on Amazon because it's the biggest place. And we all know that that's what people think. They want it on Amazon because that's the share of the market is there. And that's great. But you got to look at other avenues too. And one of them that's great through Facebook is you can start going after influencers in Facebook groups. And what I mean by that, let's say you have a pet toy that is out there and it helps control the dog from leaving the yard. I'm just going to say the dog won't leave the yard with this. So what do? You get an influencer on Facebook that has a group that is all about pets. You go to the admin and you say, hey, listen, I have this product. I would like to give it to you, have you do a review on it. And if you don't mind, if you like it, can I then promote it to 50 members of your group and give them a coupon discount? When you start doing that, you go viral, my friend. That's when you go viral, and you don't need Amazon anymore because now you're selling it off of it through influencers. What are you doing? You're giving it to the admin. The admin likes it. He endorses it. He tells his group about it. It's a win-win for you. It's a win-win for him, and it's a win-win for his group. So you got 3 wins there. That's where the future lies. The future is going to lie with influencers and not with going through selling it on Amazon, selling it on Shopify, selling it somewhere else. It's going to be going through influencers that have big audiences that, in this case, would be a pet audience, that maybe these people are even targeted pet people where he knows in his group that he's had all kinds of questions about, man, I wish there was something out there that just could teach me how to not keep my dog on a leash. I don't like that, but I don't want him to leave the yard. And I know there's electric fences and stuff like that. I'm just using this hypothetical. But you see where I'm going with that. Now he's got something. He tried it. He loves it. You think he's going to keep it to himself? No. He's going to introduce it to his audience because what did he do? He created value. He gave his audience value. You're going to see that more and more coming forward, I think.
It's big on Instagram even more, but I like the concept of influencers within a group. You give it to the admin, the main person in control, because then they have the, if it's a few thousand people, whatever it may be, they have the power over the group and they're influencing that group. So that's even, that's pretty cool. I actually was just asked yesterday, and I haven't gotten back to them, to just get sent a phone case on Instagram, just because, and then they want me to shout out, just do a post about it. And I'm like, well, sure, send me a phone case. You know what I mean? But it's like, that's the future. You're right. You're exactly right.
It's absolutely 100%. And not only just with products, it's with services. It could be anything. Like, you know what? We reached out and found Terry, and Terry came on my show. And guess what? In return, now I'm on your show. So what am I doing? Terry brought an audience to my show that probably didn't know him. He brought value to the show. The same thing that I'm doing. Now I'm reciprocating, and I'm coming here and seeing an audience that probably doesn't know me and providing value on a different topic. So it doesn't just work with products. It can work with services too. It's a very, very powerful way of working with influence. And I think people are going to have to get that if they want to survive in the years to come in the markets. They're going to have to learn that the influencers are the ones that have been a driving force. Like I said, a good friend of mine told me a while back, he says, you can have the idea, bring the idea to, he calls it a gatekeeper. I don't know if you know who Jim Corcoran is, but he says it's a gatekeeper. Bring it to the gatekeepers. The gatekeepers are the ones, or the influencers are the ones that are going to make it happen for you. And they'll make it happen for you if it's a good product. If it's not good and doesn't make sense for their audience, of course they're not going to. So you don't just bring them something that's, a piece of, what? You want to make sure it's quality and it's something that's going to be of service to their group. So getting back to the trade show part now, going to the small trade shows, again, when you do step up, or let's just say with the small trade shows, now you're preparing to go to the trade show. What do you need? Well, most of these places, you do have to have a tax ID number. You want to make sure you bring a tax ID number, and you want to bring business cards. Why do you want to bring business cards? If you go to a booth and you don't have a business card, do you think that vendor is going to treat you as a professional, or just someone that's there just, I don't know. When you have a business card, you look professional. You look like you're there to do business. So you have business cards and you have a tax ID number with you. And a lot of times you could bring your own purchase order and have purchase orders with you. So you look like you're serious. Hey, listen, if we find what we want, we got a purchase order. We can fill this out, put your name on the top of it. Everything will be legit. And then we'll sign it, and when the product comes in, we'll take care of it, or however they do it. Some companies make you pay up front. Some companies, if you got terms, you can have it shipped. There's a lot of different things you can do. But then now you're at we're talking small trade shows. We're not talking A.S.D. by any means. Now you're at a small trade show. What do you do when you get in this room and you see these vendors? First of all, you did your research, you got your data, you looked at your products. You kind of know what you want for products, so you're going in there with some kind of a game plan. You're not just going in there and looking like a fly on a wall and seeing if there's what's around and that might sell. You already know the market that you're looking at. In this case, it would be the pet market or the pole market. We'll go back to the pole. So you already know what you're going in there and you're looking for. Now, does this mean that when you go in there that you're not going to find something else? No, it doesn't, because 9 out of 10 times you are going to see something there that wows you. But just because it wows you, does that mean that you buy it? No, you have an Android phone or an iPhone, and you have the Amazon app. Everybody can get the Amazon app. It's free. You download it. Just go to the Play Store and download the Amazon app if you don't have it. Take it, scan the barcode of the product. If it comes up and it's on Amazon, if it's on Amazon, it will come up and it'll show you. Now it might say, okay, you're looking at it and the guy might say that you're talking to the vendor, you see it and it's on his shelf and it says, the wholesale price is $8. You say, wow, $8 is a big item. But you go to Amazon and you look it up. And on Amazon, it says it's going for $14.99. Do you buy the item? No, you don't buy the item. Why? Because of Amazon fees, what Janet talked about. You got to look at all the costs that are involved. You got to look at the shipping. You got to look at the packing. You got to look at, the weight-based fees, all the fees Amazon charges if you're selling it on Amazon. Would you buy it if you're going into a brick and mortar store? Probably not. You still don't have enough margin because you still got to look at buying a product, getting it shipped to you, shipping it out to a customer. All these things add to the price.
Yep.
You kind of want to go as a general rule of 2.5 to 3 to 1. So if you're buying a product and it's $8, it should be selling for $24 or better for you to actually make money.
So triple the...
Kind of triple. I mean, there's sellers out there now that will go 2.5 times.
Okay.
And again, competition dictates the price. There's different types of sellers out there. There's sellers out there that will have it for $8 and want to sell it for $50. There's people that will sell it for $8 and will sell it for $20. They don't care. They'll work on 10 and 15% margins if they're not touching the product. And that's a whole different subject. How can they do that? Well, they work the margins into a prep center. If the prep center is doing it for them, and after all the prepping is done and shipped to Amazon's warehouses, they're still making 10 to 15%, they don't care. They never touched the product. They never had to handle it. They never had to see it. They're making it's better than the stock market. You're making 10 to 15% on your investment. So they don't care. But so there's different types of business models that you got to be looking at. Know your business model when you go into a trade show. Know what you're trying to do. If you're looking for the larger margins, know that you'll sell less, but you can make money. If you're looking for a high volume, you'll sell more, but you'll make less money. But you could end up making more money if the volume is there to support how many you sell. So there's different types of models that you look at. But that app is real important. Even a brick and mortar store, they should still know what's going on the online world, because what happens is someone goes into a brick and mortar store and they see it for $25 and they're getting killed because someone will say, and everybody is, internet savvy. They'll be like, well, Amazon has it for 22. Well, the brick and mortar store can't even compete. So he needs to be able to know his pricing as well at these trade shows and how he's buying it to make sure that he's in line with what the online guys are doing. Otherwise, that's where you get the complaints from the vendors, from the stores talking to the vendors saying, hey, it's cheaper online. Why is it cheaper there? It's not cheaper because they bought it cheaper. It's cheaper because they're selling it cheaper. So they got to pay attention to what's going on with the online market when you have a brick and mortar store. Again, only if Amazon is their competition. Now, if they're the only mom and pop store in the area and nobody's around, we all know no competition around you, no worries.
Sure.
You can sell your product.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the first thing you do, like I said in a small trade show, is have everything, your business license, your cards, and then you go to a vendor and okay, I'm looking for pet supplies. You see this booth, you walk into the booth, introduce yourself. Always introduce yourself with your hand out, shaking. And if you have your name tag on it, because they give you a lot of name tags, always wear your name tag on the right side. Why do you wear a name tag on the right side? People's eyes tend to go to the right all the time. Don't believe me? Put it on the left side and see what happens to a vendor. He's looking at that right side, and if it's a woman, you probably say, hey, are you looking at my – so without getting graphic. So
no, you know what? The other side of it is, if you think about it, when you shake your hand, go to shake hands, look what happens to the chest, right? My chest comes closer to you as my arm extends. So you're actually turning the left side away. So there's two really good reasons it goes on the right side.
Yeah, and most people do shake that way, but there are some that also shake with the other hand. I've met them. It's weird, but I've had to go the other. But yeah, you always want to have it there, and you always want to have it up on your right side where your eye has. And always don't look down on somebody, a vendor. Make eye contact. Make eye contact with the vendor and show that you're serious, that you're there, because remember, he's there to make a sale, and he's going to. I guarantee you, if you don't strike up that conversation with him and get interest in that first 30 seconds, his eyes are already going somewhere else. He's looking for that person. He's looking for who's going to buy from me. I've seen it many, many times with groups I've taken out there. They look at them, and it's very hard for someone to look somebody in the eye. If you're not good at doing the exercise of looking somebody straight in the eyes, go home and look at your girlfriend's eyes, look at your wife's eyes, and just stare at them. And just stare at them and get used to doing that so that it doesn't bother you, because that's key when you do that in person, one-on-one meeting somebody. You have to do that. You also can read vendors by doing that. You can see if a vendor is actually telling you the truth or not. It's kind of funny how that works, but you can tell by their eyes and their dilation of their eyes. And I didn't believe this, but I found it to be true when I tried it. You can ask a vendor if it's the best price. And now there are some that have mastered it, but most of them, if they are not giving you the best price that they possibly can, their eyes will dilate.
Isn't that funny?
It's kind of strange. I've seen it. I was like, what? I just thought maybe they were just doing it on purpose, but someone told me, they said, yeah, you can. So be aware of that eye contact. And also when you're having that conversation, talk to them, say, hey, I'm looking for these products. Now, if you've already researched the company, which you also can do online, you can go into the trade show and say, hey, listen, ABC Toys is what I'm looking at. This is what they carry. It's going to do you a whole world of good if you call ABC Toys on the phone and say, listen, I'm going to the TMC trade show. I want to know who is going to be representing your company. Who is the salesperson? So you know a name. You've got a name walking in. I can tell you when you walk into a trade show and you say, hey, I'm here to see Bob, whatever his name is, or the guy's name or girl's name, it's very impressive. Then you just walking around and someone coming up and saying, hey, can I help you? No, yeah, actually, I'm here to see Bob. Why? Because you were told that was who was going to be working the trade show. You want to have that information. You also want to do your research. How long has that company been around? Who do they sell to? Do they sell to brick and mortar? Are they okay with Amazon sellers? If not, why? Explain to them. You need to know what's okay and who they'll sell to. Are they selling to, like Walmart? Are they selling to these big stores? These items that you're looking to buy? And then when you go into the trade show, and now you got all this ammunition, you're going to see Bob. Hey, Bob, how you doing? Yeah, man, you guys have a great line of toys. I'd really like to see this toy here and here, because why? You looked at the products, you researched them on Amazon, you saw they were good quality products that sell decent, and there's not a whole lot of sellers on there, so your competition is limited as far as FBA sellers. It's very, very limited. So now you're in there, you talk to Bob, and you say, hey, Bob, yeah, I see these toys. I'm interested in them. I says, how much is it if I buy it by the case? And he goes, well, I can give it to you for $15 a case. And you're like, wow, okay. But you already saw it on Amazon, and you know that you need to be down about $8 to make this work. He's at 15. Not going to work. So, all right. So if I buy this by the pallet, what's my price? And then he gives you a different price. And then you blow them away, because they think you're more serious when you come in there. And I do this to a lot of vendors. Say, hey, I said, all right, guys. I said, listen, I need to know the best price. I buy stuff by the tractor trailer. I want to know if I buy this by the tractor trailer. And then it goes down to 15. If you're buying this by the tractor trailer, I'm going to give it to you for $7.50. Bingo, you're in that range now. You've got the price where you need to be. Now, how do you overcome the tractor trailer and not buying a tractor trailer and only buying it at $7.50? There's a few different ways you can do that. One way that works is you can say, you know what? I really don't want to buy it as a tractor trailer right now. I see a possibility of me doing that, but right now I just want to try it and see if it works. How about I buy a case for $7.50, or I buy a pallet at $7? You probably say a case at $7.50, and let me try it, run some data on it, and see what my data comes back, and see if it's actually something that makes sense for me and for you. Because if it makes sense for both of us, I'm going to buy a tractor trailer at some point. Now you've opened his eyes up to the possibility of you doing something bigger and better with his company. A lot of people don't do that. A lot of people would stop, even if they went to the tractor trailer, they would stop and say, well, I got to buy it at a tractor trailer to get that. No, you don't. You have to negotiate. You need to know your options and need to know that he wants your business just as much as you want their business. And how to do that is by drilling it down and telling him that you'd like to sample it. If it's possible. And if he says, no, we can't do that, then you walk away.
You have the next person.
I love the idea of testing, right? That's what we talk about all the time. Every time Janet talks about Facebook advertising, right? Anytime we talk about online marketing, it's have a thought, have a hunch, put it out there, have a plan A and a plan B, see which one works better. I think that's important. We're running up on time here. You've delivered a ton of value, and I know you've got probably 6 or 7 different podcasts and webinars on similar topics where people can take a deeper dive into this particular area where you share your expertise. So a couple of questions. One, how do people find additional resources and information on this from you? And then B, how do people find you in general, John?
Well, there's a lot of resources out there. There's a lot of groups, but my Pro Seller Talk Facebook group is a great group to go in, a community of Amazon sellers and online sellers. You can check out the show. The show has probably over 70 webinars now on there that go into great detail of how not only to buy products, but how to list products on different platforms. There's a whole lot of stuff, and that's at prosellertalk.com. That's a show. You're right. This is just not even scratching the surface. I knew when I was coming on here, I was like, what do I talk about? Because I could talk about one subject and just go into great detail with that, because there's just so much more from the buying end, building relationship end. I mean, we could do one on just building relationship with vendors. We can do, there's so many different ways of doing it. We can go into, how to find other ventures from trade shows. I mean, how to really dive in deep. And then once you have the trade show, like Janet mentioned before, and now you've got your product, the biggest key is I just told you, yes, you can do this if you work full time. The wife and the husband can work, or if you have 8 kids at home, you can do it. You don't have time to do it. Why? MyFulfillmentTeam.com. And I'm biased because it's my prep center.
You know what you're doing.
The prep center, we've been doing it for 9 years. We're family owned and operated. And if you check out MyFulfillmentTeam.com, you'll see that we've been out there for a while. What do? We take all the tedious things away from you. You just got to buy product and put it into the software. We're a software-based company, and we do all the prepping, packing, bundling, shipping, bagging, everything that you can possibly need, both for e-commerce and for Amazon. So, again, this is just touching on the surface, and I feel like I'm leaving a lot out. If anybody wants to reach out to me and has questions, I'm happy to answer any questions for anybody. They can also email me at mitwebinars@gmail.com. I mean, so that's another place they can reach me.
Okay.
And I'm an open book. Terry, you were on my show, I'm an open book. I'm here.
100%. Super helpful, too.
And I'm here to help people live their dreams. And that's my focus. God put me here for a reason. I believe that. I believe that when I leave this earth, that I'm going to be able to feel good about myself knowing I made an impact. Just like you guys make a tremendous impact with this show, I feel like there needs to be more people like us that are putting good quality stuff out there and that really are concerned about the people being successful. And that's 100%. One last thing I'll say before I let you guys finish or whatever we need to do is that, and I didn't get into that at all, is that if you're afraid of a trade show and you don't want to attempt a trade show by yourself, I take people to trade shows. I've actually taken large groups of people to trade shows, walk them around a big trade show, introduce them to the vendors, show them how to talk to the vendors, show them how to ask for things, how to find the vendor and say, hey, listen, what's your best sellers? They're not always going to tell you the best sellers, but if you know some of them, they will. And then complement products. What are complement products that would go with this? And what am I doing? I'm creating bundles. I can take and create bundles. I can flip-flop it into private label. I can do a lot of different unique tricks, and all keeping it professional, keeping the upper hand on the vendor. And I don't mean that disrespectful, but I have control of that conversation with the vendor. He does not control or she does not control me. And it's funny how I can take them from closeouts to wholesale to a private label without them even knowing.
Nice.
Yeah, like sounds like you have a lot. So you gave your email, and we will also be doing the show notes, and we'll have all the information in the show notes too on our blog. And you can find all this episode and all past episodes at businessgrowthtime.com. And then we also have a Facebook group too, and you can easily find that at businessgrowthtime.xyz. So thank you so much, John. This was a ton of value and a ton of information and new subject matter for us, and I think it's great for anybody looking to sell online or that sells.
Perfect. You guys, thanks for it. We'll see you very soon. John, excellent. Great info. Janet, always a pleasure. You guys have a wonderful day.
Thanks,
guys.